Trevs Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. Sweet. Anyway, whew, what a night for playoff hockey. 2 Game 7s. And one basically set the tone for this video. Can't do the predictions for the East yet. We're still waiting on one more series to finish up. That's tomorrow. So expect the Eastern Conference semifinals predictions video. Then, tonight, I can at least give you my Western Conference predictions. And based on the quarterfinals, I feel fairly confident in who I can pick. But either way, we'll go over my picks from the quarterfinals before I give you my picks for the semifinals, as is tradition. So, let's dig in. So one thing we can say about the Western Conference quarterfinals is it was nothing short of entertaining. I mean, I'll break down every series before I get into my picks for the semifinals. But all the series that were played were entertaining in every level. And it goes beyond just play. But let's break it down. So for the record, as far as Western Conference predictions is concerned, I went 3 for 4. And I know in my own world, the game numbers mean nothing. I predicted 2 series right as far as game numbers was concerned. When Vegas beat Winnipeg in 5 and when Edmonton beat LA in 6. The other 2, I got the game numbers wrong. But again, I go more for the team that wins as opposed to the game numbers. But let's break down the quarterfinals. Now, the one thing I did wrong in this series was bet against your Seattle Kraken. What kind of fan am I going to be if I can not ridicule myself for doing that? Because I should have. But first goal in every game this series belongs to the Kraken. And the Kraken became the first team to eliminate the defending Stanley Cup champions after their inaugural season. So there's a lot of history in this series that I will break down when I talk about the Kraken season near the end, but the problem that I had with this series wasn't so much the big three and McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen. It was the fans in Colorado getting in Grubauer's head when they were chanting Gru. That was concerning, but he overcame, and that's a good thing. Seattle moves on. Now, I honestly thought this was going to go Minnesota's way, the way the first 3 games were played, but games 4, 5, and 6, it was all Ottinger at that point, holding Minnesota to 3 goals in those 3 games, including a Game 6 shutout. Also helps when you have Rupi Heinz just breaking through everything and everyone, who at the point that I'm recording right now, last I checked, led the league in points as far as playoff points was concerned. Added Jason Robertson in there, and the fact that they were able to keep Kaprizov quiet, like very quiet, and he got the makings for a damn good run for the Dallas Stars. I mean, it is only Minnesota, if you want to look at it that way, but Minnesota should not have been a rollover like they were in those last 3 games. But either way, the Stars move on. So the good news here is nobody died. And that's a great thing. I mean, 75 stitches after taking a skate blade to the face. And Hellebuck, who probably got a concussion, taking a puck hard off the mask. But that was more a lesson in how dominant Vegas can be. I mean, freak accidents aside, Vegas was punishing the body and, owning Winnipeg at will, to say the least. And, I mean, getting Mark Stone back doesn't hurt. Goaltending, I think, still has to be their Achilles. And hopefully, for Vegas' own self, it's not something that can be heavily exploited. But it's working well so far. And the Golden Knights advanced. Now, you can't fault the Kings for running into a problem of how do you contain McDavid. You can fault the Kings for, in their attempts to, and I use attempt loosely, to contain McDavid, they forgot to contain Draisaitl. And if you want to say they even tried to contain them, I mean, Draisaitl came up with 11 points and McDavid came up with 10. So how much were they trying, really? I mean, Seattle faced the same problem with Colorado. You got to shut down the big three and keep them both shut down at the same time, not individually one by one. But either way, the Kings didn't really necessarily show up either. I mean, I don't know how much of it was a case of they were just done playing or just outplayed in a matter of a 6-game series, but the Kings did not last. And I don't think anybody expected them to. So, having said that, the Oilers advanced. Now, let's talk about my picks for the Western Conference semifinals. So again, the word for this series has to be containment, where Seattle got off of learning having to contain McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen. They also have to contain Rupi Heinz and Jason Robertson while trying to figure out that brick wall that has become Jake Ottinger. And do this fairly consistently, might I add, because it only takes a second for a guy like Rupi Heinz to get across and exploit all the weakness or split the defense or set up a play that'll just definitely sink the game. You can't let that happen if you're Seattle. If you're Dallas, you just keep playing the way you're playing and hope that it's not a case of Cinderella's showed up to the ball and is going to start walking all over. And my own self personally, and this is biasness, and this is also a case of learning my lesson from the quarterfinals, I'm not betting against the boys. I'm going to say Seattle in 7. And I'm only saying that based on the fact that, yeah, they're the boys, and I'm down for, a good historic run, even if it only goes beyond the Western Conference Final. But I'm not counting my chickens. That's why I don't do a playoff bracket in full when the playoffs begin. I think it's going to be a back and forth series. It might even be low scoring thanks to Ottinger and thanks to Grubauer finally showing up and playing on his head like he's supposed to be. Your goal scorers are going to score. Heinz is going to score, hopefully not in buckets, but he'll score at least 1, maybe 2. I think ultimately it's going to boil down to defense, goaltending, and maybe special teams. Either way, I think it's going to be Seattle coming out in 7. Now, this is going to be an interesting series. More so than just the whole McDavid-Eichel quote-unquote rivalry that, they've been wanting to work up for years that they're finally going to get now. I mean, personally, I think it'd work better for a Stanley Cup final, but that's just me. This is going to be a case where Vegas might have to learn to play against a tougher team, as the Oilers are not the Winnipeg Jets. That much has to be established right off the hop. I mean, while the Jets had Connor, the Oilers have, again, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hopkins, Kane. The list goes on. So your guys like your Jack Eichel, your Mark Stone, your Chandler Stevenson, they're going to have to step up. Skinner, for the Oilers, is going to really have to learn to play on his head and then some if he can't contain Eichel, Stevenson, or Stone. At that same point, Brossoit could be in a lot of trouble if they're going to keep riding Brossoit. But either way, it's going to be a fun series. And of course, because I'm stubborn and I don't see the Oilers actually making it past the second round this year, I'm going to say Vegas in 6. And it could just be me being difficult. I don't know. But I think Vegas is going to be that point where it might just be too much for the Oilers. I could be horribly wrong. I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl could still want to carry that team on their back like they're doing. I think Vegas is on a run to something. I mean, whether it's the Cup Finals or not, I don't know. But I think they're going somewhere, being it's their 6th year of existence. And if you want to go back to what I've been saying on almost every Vegas video, the 6-year plan, Bill Foley did say Vegas should have a cup by the 6th year. That's my pick for the Western Conference semifinals. Let me know your picks for the 2023 Western Conference semifinals. And feel free to tell me if you think I'm out to lunch on my picks. Another one of Just Hockey Shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you've made it to this point. It's a great thing for everybody. Again, let me know what you think of my picks. Let me know your picks. Feel free to tell me where you think I'm just wrong. Trust me, I can take the criticism. But if you like what I'm doing, if you've made it this far, if you just want to say hey, There's a like button right there. Feel free to hit it. If you want, that subscribe button, it says subscribe all over, it's big and red. Feel free to hit that. We're going to 250. We're almost there. And it'll make you feel good, so why not, right? Right. Glad we had this talk. That social that I never used, it's in the description down below. So moving forward, like I said, expect an Eastern Conference semifinals picks video tomorrow. Like I said, I'm immersed in playoff hockey, so I'm really attempting to catch up on a lot of different things, but either way, in between time, look for more videos from Trev. Later.